Hey guys, I'm actually super nervous about this one. And yes, a big part of that is because it features a person, but it also comes from such a personal place. Why does drawing people make me so nervous? A lot of it is just because I am so heavily reference-based artist, and I don't want to draw a person that looks like a real person by accident. And I don't want to draw pictures of myself. I just don't do it that much. But this is technically a redraw inspired by the Collab Lab at Rafi and Klee's Patreon page, and I'm going to list the required guidelines for this piece of art. 1, it has to have an inside-outside juxtaposition, whether literal or metaphorical. It has to incorporate a tree representing one side of this duality, literal or abstract. And it has to have a landscape representing the other side of duality, literal or abstract. I find the Collab Lab always get me to dig deep. I think because I put it off for a while because it has such a long deadline. And when you let your brain kind of work through things for a while, sometimes things just click into place. Although this one, incorporating a tree, really just harkened back to a painting I did several years ago. This one called Hollow Yet Productive, and it's a weird painting, and this is my old style where I didn't really do backgrounds, I just did watercolor splashes, and she has this gigantic head, and perspective is kind of weird. It was very simple. I don't know if there's a video already about this, but I'm going to go into more detail because I can. This was originally inspired by my grandparents' peach orchard, and none of this is really necessary to understand, but when I was a tiny child, that peach orchard was a really nice place to me. So many of the peaches would ripen on the tree, which meant that I spent a lot of summers just sitting under the trees while my grandpa would pull down a bunch of tree-ripened peaches for me to eat. And I have never had a peach like that since. They're so good. They're so good. And when my family had a falling out, I wasn't able to go there ever again. Really. And peaches, you can't just ship them or travel with them, really. So that was pretty much it for fresh peaches. At one point, I was able to go back. My mom pulled me out of school to ditch school and work and drive up there because there was weird stuff going on and it was a confrontation. I don't know how many details to include in this story because none of them are important. Heck, I'll just record it and decide later. Story time. When my family had a falling out, it was kind of a big deal. And I genuinely don't think that I really progressed emotionally or mentally beyond that moment. And things didn't really get better after that. Home life just kind of sucked for me. But what I didn't know is that apparently my grandmother had some kind of plan this whole time, where on my 18th birthday, she bribed a cousin who I wasn't really that close with, to invite me to her house for an overnight stay. And I thought that was really, really weird because we hadn't really seen each other in a decade. And so my aunt and uncle came over randomly and said, yeah, there's an issue. Grandma has paid our kid to invite your kid over so that they can come get her. And so I guess that was some weird plan where my grandparents were waiting for me to be of legal age so that they could, I don't know. My mom decided to skip work and school and go up to my grandparents' house. They lived 6 hours away, to sit and chat for an hour, to tell them that I'm not in any actual danger, I do not need saving, and that they should not try to come and pick me up and take me away. As an 18-year-old person. It was a really lovely day for nostalgic reasons. Although I was really annoyed though that nobody asked me before taking me out there to tell them that I was okay. They never asked me if I was okay, which seems like a really large oversight in the plan, but I tried my best. I don't think I was that reassuring. But that was when I saw the trees. These trees that were such an important part of my tiny childhood. They were all but dead. The trunks were completely hollowed out from age, I guess. And I was just in complete awe that these trees could go through so much and produce so much for others, to the point where they were nothing but bark left in order to get another year of fruit, one last year of fruit. He filled the trees with planks of wood and tied it up with rope. It was just visually striking and also shocking in the sense that I didn't think that such a thing could work. And the trees had peaches growing on them, and it was just relatable. It was super relatable to think like, this really is just so much what life is like, whether you've known it all along or whether people have been learning it in 2020, but just how like the world doesn't care who you are, how you feel, whether or not you're well. There are just so many times where you go to work literally sick, or if you are having a really bad mental health day every day for months, for years, but you still go to work and you still do what your boss tells you, and you just don't talk to anybody and keep your head down. But you just do it because they expect you to. And if you don't put yourself aside, they'll just replace you. And that's what I was trying to capture for myself in this particular set of paintings, is just this feeling of just giving everything that you can when you don't have anything to give. And so this painting is the perspective of the tree. So yeah, as far as paintings go, this is quite the glow up, I think. And it's pretty cool to see, like, even if I don't think I've really improved that much, I kinda have, haven't I? I was pretty much using green, gold, and this really nice coral red type of color. I don't know the names of these colors. And Payne's Gray, because it's the darkest color I have, and it kind of goes with everything. I snuck in the little landscape detail of the collaboration onto the peaches. It made sense to me. She's producing for the landscape, and I have chickadees because to me chickadees are a motif that I use to represent hard work. And I used real strings for the ropes because it makes such amazing texture. Also randomly added a key to this. The key is just to go anywhere she wants and do whatever she wants, but she doesn't know what to do with it. There's no like lock or anywhere to put a key in this picture. Like the only person who has the power to like do anything about it is yourself. But what do you do with it? What do you do with this empowerment that you may or may not give yourself, Yeah, I was worried about showing this one just because it looks kind of morbid. It looks kind of spooky, kind of gross. It's really just meant to be like dry wood bark, right? But it looks kind of gory in this context, and I hope it doesn't gross anybody out, I guess. I guess like that's what made me nervous about it. Thank you for sharing and subscribing. I put out a new art video every Thursday. I also sell original art, sketchbooks, really nice prints, handmade calendars, pet commissions, and even some one-of-a-kind wearable art jewelry. I also have a sketchbook club on Patreon, where we fill our sketchbooks according to a theme, and some tiers even get original sketches mailed to them.